Stephanie Basso, welcome to the Big Fat Life podcast. How are you?
Wonderful today. How are you? Thanks for
I,
having me on.
I'm doing great. Listen, you are a busy woman. You run your own business. You have helped plenty of clients. What is it you do for the
In a
audience?
nutshell, I'm a transform coach. I do personal training, and I've had my master's in sports psychology. So with the personal training, I really like to help with positive psychology or working on mindset. So transforming means changing your body from the inside out. So that's why I call myself a transform coach. And I also help some people get to the bodybuilding stage as well.
That's awesome. We're gonna get really deep into all that, especially the mindset coaching thing is particularly interesting to me. But before all that, I know for you to get to this point, a lot of it comes from your personal journey.
Mhm.
And you're someone, we have so many people that deal with weight issues, whether it's, being overweight or severely underweight and trying just to find a healthy balance in life. You struggled with some of that too as a young girl, right?
You got it. That's my story. And I really believe all of us have adversities because I guess we're supposed to experience them so that we can become the person we are today. Like, I think we all have a mission. And my story goes all the way back from being a little girl, being very overweight. I mean, I can remember stepping on the scale in elementary. It was fourth or fifth grade, stepping on the scale and seeing the number 148 pounds and hearing my classmates laughing at me. And so I was really, really big. So I empathize when someone's coming up to lose some weight. I totally get it. I'm not one of that trainers who has always been fit and has the genetics to be fit. No, I know what it's like to struggle with being overweight, shy, low self-esteem. And then when I got older in my 20s in college, that's when I dealt with a severe opposite end of the spectrum where I got severely malnutrition skinny. And we can talk more about that.
Well, when you go through something like that where people you get that negative reaction to your weight, I mean, how does that affect you? Like, how do you're developing, you're a young woman at the time, and you got to be insecure now. How does that affect you as you grow older and get into your teens and just feeling different?
So how it affects me today from
How
my
did it
past
just
experiences?
just how did it affect you then? Like, how did you feel? Like,
Yeah.
did you feel insignificant? Did you feel less than? Like, did it make you
Yeah.
insecure?
Yeah. So, thanks for asking because I think when we are children, there's developmental psychology. So we figure out life in a different mindset versus now we're much more mature and wiser. So I feel that when I was a kid, I was going through a lot of struggles that I couldn't identify with. So I think I I was going through where my parents were divorcing. They divorced when I was 9 years old. So that was one stressor of the uncertainties of life. And the second thing I dealt with when I was a little girl was having a same gender attraction ever since as young as I can remember. And growing up in a conservative religion, we were taught that if you're gay, it's a flaw and that you need to fix it and you shouldn't act on it. So I grew up with this belief that something was always wrong with me and that I needed to always fix something. So I think I dealt with things like just eating. I was a latchkey children. I'm not sure if any listeners out there relate to this growing up or even have kids who come home. We don't know good nutrition. So we're just going to grab some candies or snacks. Or I had a store. I'd walk to the store every day after school and grab me ice cream, chips, and soda loaded
Comfort
with
food.
carbs. Yes, that's good stuff as a kid, right?
Right.
So it was hard because I was so insecure. I felt like I was the only one with going through my parents' divorce and with struggling with that same gender attraction. Again, I felt different. I felt weird, and I didn't speak out. I was very introvert and shy. So it really, really was a hard upbringing for me.
When you feel something like that, and same gender attraction, and you feel also that it is because of the way you've been taught that it is wrong,
Yeah.
how I mean, that sounds extremely stressful to me because that means that you're looking at yourself like you said before, there's something wrong with me. And there's no fix, right? You can't say, oh, I'm just going to start doing this thing that's going to fix it. And so you turn to food, or you turn to things that kind of, but you didn't just, I mean, you went from being overweight to, as you described, in your early 20s, you were severely underweight. Was there something that triggered you to go that route, to try to fix, your weight by, using that to help with everything else you were dealing with inside?
Yeah, so it's very interesting, ironic, I would say. So I continued in school. I started to get more physically active in high school. I joined basketball my freshman year in high school, and my brother teases me. Those are the years where I went from ugly duckling to beautiful swan. So I started to, have longer hair and start to look beautiful, start to lose some weight. So that's when high school I started to sort of blossom and become, friends and with more people. But then we get into college. I was 20 years old. And of course, I had a normal, stressful college life, right? It was hard as it is. I was dating my then, who was going to be my husband at the time. So dating and school life. And I got severely sick with my stomach. So ever since I was young, till even to this day, I've always had stomach aches. And my mom always worried about me when I was a kid. She'd bring me to hospital, she'd bring me to shrinks to figure out, why is Stephanie having these stomach aches? And it was always a mystery growing up. So finally, when we get to age 20, and I am just sickly skinny, and we go to the gastroenterologist, finally there's a name for it. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, an autoimmune disease known as IBD, which is where the body attacks the gut. And it was a scary time for me because anything I ate went right through. I couldn't digest things because my intestines were inflamed. So I just felt, now that I'm grown up and wiser, I think it's such a unique, ironic thing to where I was a kid going through a lot of stressful things. Something was wrong with me, my stomach issues, and then finally it turning into a disease. But I'll share this with you. I don't tell a lot of people, Dan. I remember as a little kid in my fat body telling myself, Steph, if you don't get a hold of your stomach aches, you're going to have a disease. I remember telling myself that as a kid. And age 20, sure enough, I was diagnosed with a label, Crohn's disease. But I wonder how much of us, our body manifests things in disease sense because it's really going through, like, spiritual struggles or so forth. So I thought,
I think that I go back to stress. You had,
yeah,
that's so stressful to feel how you felt on every level, like looking in the mirror, not being happy with that, what the outside world, projected at you,
yeah,
and feeling that there's something wrong with you because of where your attractions lie. And
yeah,
sometimes, I'm not saying, I'm no doctor, I'm not saying that stress created Crohn's disease for you, but it is, when you have such a stressor in your life all the time, it's not surprising to me that diseases come with that,
mhm,
because it's like you said, it can manifest because stress is a real thing, right?
yeah.
Elevated cortisol is a real thing. How that affects the body is a real thing. So for you, I guess, to get a label on it probably was somewhat relieving, because you thought, okay, I'm not crazy, right? I have stomach issues and they're real, and there's a definition for what that is. How did you manage that then? Like, what was your next move to try to get through that so you could, not have those pains that you were getting?
Oh, that was really a turning point in my life, Dan. At 20 years old, when you feel like your whole life is ahead of you, I always wanted to be a mom growing up. And so when a doctor tells you you have a disease, we don't know what causes it, we don't know what cures it, my whole life flashed before my eyes. I did go into a little depression because I thought, man, how am I going to have kids? How am I going to further my education and fulfill all these dreams I have in my life? So I believe in adversity. We go through some really down moments, some really, really hard times. But that pushed me to this place of, I'm going to prove myself and the doctor's wrong, that I can live a good life. I can build the dreams of my body. I can crack my body's code and finally build muscle and get that dream body like I've always dreamed of. I always saw bodybuilders on the stage with this beautiful muscle and thought, wow, I want to have a body like that. And in general, Crohn's disease, because the intestines are inflamed, Crohn's people don't really, they have a hard time building muscle. And if you are diagnosed with Crohn's when you're a kid, sometimes it kind of stunts your growth because of the malnutrition. So I was determined. That adversity, while I was down, I said, I'm going to show the world, I'm going to show to myself that I'm not limited.
Okay, but how did you learn what to do then? I mean, how do you get to the point where you say, well, because you need a step one and your doctors
Yes.
are telling you, well, that we don't know what to do for this. So you're
Yeah.
looking at nutrition or you're looking at physical activity or what did you decide to do
Yeah.
to educate yourself and get in the right direction where, you were able to overcome this?
You got it. So the first thing was the mindset shift to believe in myself that, you know what, I can do anything I put my heart and mind to. So that once that mind shifted, I was determined to cure this incurable thing. So Dan, what I did was I did a lot of nutrition research, and I found the this diet called the specific carbohydrate diet. And it's basically the premise is to get rid of this kind of inflammation where the body's attacking the gut. It's important to starve off the bad bacteria in the gut and replenish the healthy, good bacteria so that your gut can heal itself. So that's the whole focus of the specific carbohydrate. And I was married that first year when I was diagnosed, and so I have my husband who can eat anything, and I was making everything from scratch because I could not eat anything commercial. I made my yogurt from scratch. I made my applesauce, my tomato sauce from scratch. I made fresh chicken soups. And I didn't have chocolate for a year because I was determined to heal myself. And within a year, I found amazing relief. I started to feel better. I started to gain some weight back. So that was the first step, really diving into nutrition because we're really our own best advocates for our health, right?
Absolutely. And when it's funny because, you know, and you touched on this before, that, we're hit with all kinds of adversity. And often we don't realize it at the time, but it's a driving force to something better because we have to find a way to overcome it. For you, okay, you healed your gut, but you also probably felt with this new way of eating and being so focused on your nutrition, you probably felt better in so many other ways than you had in the past. Did that open your mind to this idea that, holy smokes, like nutrition can actually make you feel better, greater, smarter, stronger than anything else that I ever would have imagined?
Yeah, you're right. And in fact, I think everyone gets to that pivotal point in their life, no matter what kind of transformation people are trying to take. So when I started to feel better and get positive results and less inflammation, and I could stop taking some medications that were prescribed, I thought, you know what? We have more control over the quality of life than we realize. And so that is when I realized that this is my mission. Once you see the light in something, you want to share it with everyone else, right? I mean, you can call it religion. People want to share the good news because it's just amazing. It transforms your life. So from that moment on, I knew it clearly that this is my mission to help others see the light as well, and that you can defy limitations and live your best self. So this adversity of uh, not knowing how to heal to finally mastering nutrition, I became a college nutrition teacher. Whereas back in my age 20, I never thought I would have been a nutrition teacher for college. But all that experience and that furthering of education, I'm a college teacher, which is one of my greatest jobs that I do today.
And you also have a PhD, right? Or are you working on a
Yeah,
PhD?
I'm in the process. I'm almost done. So I chose recently to get into a PhD in nutrition, holistic nutrition. Now, my former husband was going through medical school, so I know the whole medical school route. And kudos to them. Anyone can succeed if they put their heart and mind to it. But when I saw everyone going through that path, I, I I realized I don't want to be a pharmaceutical doctor. And that with all of my success and my newfound knowledge with nutrition and healing the body, I realized I found my next step that I can be a doctor in holistic nutrition and help heal others or give better quality of life based on education and labs and so forth. So yeah, I'm excited to finish my PhD in holistic nutrition.
It's so interesting that doctors do wonderful things, nurses do
Yeah.
wonderful things, they help so many people, so I never say this to disparage them in any way,
Mhm.
but they're often, they're not nutritionists,
Mhm.
right? So a lot of times when they look at disease, they look at the medicine to treat that disease,
Mhm.
and I think it's important to have both. I think it's
Yeah.
important to have that, but you also need to know what could you be doing nutritionally to help heal yourself as well. So I love that you did that. Now, in all this, while you're healing yourself, you mentioned that you were married and I know, you did have children, which was
Yes.
fantastic. How did you go about battling through this, same gender attraction and realizing that, what the situation you were in was not going to work for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan, and very it's a hard season. A lot of people talk about it. And so I felt I was always God fearing. I was very into my religion growing up. And I love God to this day. I believe there's a God, a higher power. And I felt that in order to heal myself from the same gender attraction, because I was taught it was wrong, I felt that if I do what God says and marry a good, strong religious man, that I'll be cured. That's what my mind thought. And so I found a good man in the religion and got married. After the first year, I didn't feel I was cured. There was still those deep feelings. And so I continued to struggle with that. Now, it was during this whole season, I was 26 years old, and I ended up having my first ever relationship with another woman. And she was actually in the same religion as me and had the same kind of, feelings and experiences as me. And that was my first time ever being in a female relationship. And I thought, this, when you know something, you know. And we fell in love with each other. But I needed to cut her out of my life, which is one of the hardest things that I ever had and to do in my life, is to cut someone out of my life, someone who I loved, because I realized I need to face my marriage the right way. The marriage wasn't healthy, I'll say. And even though I have those same gender attractions, I know I would be married longer to my children's father if it was a healthy relationship for the sake of the children. He stood by my side to help me heal it, cure it, whatever. But I can say with full confidence that I left my marriage for all the right reasons. And so that was the start. That was the quest of when I realized that I, I really, it's a sacred thing again, Dan, but during that whole hard time, I really heard and felt God's hand in my life saying, Stephanie, I made you as you are, and you are meant to have companionship on this earth. That's when all the confusion lifted, the gray clouds lifted, that I am not a flaw. I am made just as I am.
Yeah, that's,
So the rest is history.
yeah, thanks for sharing that. That has to feel liberating when you come to that. That's like that moment of clarity, and you realize that there's all kinds of happiness in front of you that you can grab onto. It's like, you went through what you did with your disease and you found a way to heal that. And with your life, your relationship, your marriage, your sexuality, and how you felt, being honest and true got you to that point to where you
Yes.
can really fully be yourself. So I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like once you come to that, and once you start to feel like you can be 100% yourself, and you
Yeah.
have this focus on nutrition and wanting to help people, does it just skyrocket from there for you? Like, is it just like,
Oh,
that's it now?
Dan, once I took that step, the hardest thing was taking that step and choosing to step out of that marriage. And because in a very conservative religion, you're bad, you're wrong if you're choosing to divorce, right?
Right.
But I knew it was the best decision I could have made for my children so that they can see me in a healthy relationship. But my life blossomed from there. So Dan, I was a broken person. I mean, I was a broken person when I left that relationship, and I had nothing to my name. And here I am taking care of two young children. My daughter was 2, my son was 8 months at the time. And here I am. And right now they're 16 and 13. And I've been raising them since they were that young. And my life has only gotten better since choosing to live true. Life
Right.
just gets better and better. Yes.
At what point did you start to work on your fitness? I mean, we know about the nutrition part, but your fitness is
Okay.
a key component in what you do and who you are. I mean, you compete in bodybuilding
Mhm.
competitions, like that's a whole nother thing. So when did you start to
Yeah.
focus, zone in on that?
So when I was single and going through, the divorce, a part of my transformation was not only physical, it was body, mind, and spirit. And so in my marriage, I was not allowed to wear a bikini. So after I've left the marriage, it was figuratively speaking, it was an inside transformation for me to change my body and rock in a bikini on a stage when I was not able to in my marriage, wear a two-piece bikini.
Right.
So I was determined to reach that goal. And it competitions happened from then on. I got hooked after my first show, and I've been bodybuilding for 10 years, and
Wow.
I've been in the figure division. I got to the national stage, and just recently here in San Diego, I decided to change women divisions and do bikini. So it's been a great ride and helping others reach their stage. And whether people want to get onto the stage for bodybuilding or not, I help people transform and shine on their life stage, whatever their life event is that they look forward to most. That's my whole experience with transformation, is living true with who you are, loving yourself in your skin, and living your best life.
Yeah, that's really what we could all hope for, right? That's like the best we could hope for, is to
Yeah,
feel that way. Now, something I want to dive into with you is amongst, you bodybuilder, you personally train people, you're a nutrition coach, you taught nutrition, you're getting your PhD in holistic nutrition, mindset, being a
mm,
mindset coach. I feel like mindset is one of the most important aspects of what we do in any endeavor, right? Whether it's business, life, or healing ourselves or making ourselves stronger and fitter and losing weight and all that.
sure.
What does a mindset coach do? How does a mindset coach help someone to get to where they need to be?
Mm, um, so when I decided to get into my master's in sports psychology, it was a new field, and I was a single mom, and I was determined to make something of myself so that I could raise my children fully on my own. So I found a degree in sports psychology, and sports psychology, we all know psychology in general to be helping people with mental disorders, but sports psychology is helping already healthy individuals improve their performance through their mind. So it's so I helped a lot of athletes in college when I'm teaching college, and it's about being a better player, basketball player. If someone has anger issues on the court, I help them with a lot of type of techniques such as visualization, guided imagery, being a neutral self coach so that you can be your best self as an athlete and as a person in life. So what does a mindset coach do? The weight loss principle is so easy, as you know, Dan. And so people just realize you eat less, you work out more, you lose weight. But if it was that simple, everyone would be in their best fit body, right? So it's
Right.
really in the mind. And the mind, when I coach people, I consult and I see what are their mental limiting blocks happening in their life. Like, do they really love themselves? And let's work on that. Because if you do not love yourself now and you tell yourself, I'll love myself when I lose the 100 pounds, then there's something missing and you're not going to ever reach that goal if you're not mastering that first step, which is self-love right now, right? And it's about the daily self-talk. There are so many people, Dan, who beat themselves up when they eat one wrong thing. That's the unfortunate thing about a diet world these days. And so it's about self-forgiveness, it's about self positive talk, it's so many things. So I meet people where there are and where their obstacles are so that they can excel in life. It's a big field of visualization and self-talk, so many things.
I just think it's so important because we are our biggest enemies. We can be our biggest heroes and we can pull ourselves out of like the lowest of lows, but we can also be the person standing in our own way. It often is the case because we have aspirations, we have thoughts and desires of things that we want to do, and then we have that voice inside telling us why we can't do those things, why we're not worth it,
Right.
why all those mental blocks, as you mentioned. And I gotta imagine, the idea of healing from the inside out
Yeah.
really, it's come up again in another podcast recently, and it's funny how we're talking about this now, because often we attack things from the outside in, because we
Yeah.
see the number on the scale, we see our waistlines, we look in the mirror, I'm like, I gotta fix that. So I'm
Yeah.
going to work on my diet, and I'm going to work out in the gym, and nothing on the inside is being fixed. And something got us there. Like, with you,
Yeah.
all those different stressors growing up caused you all kinds of problems. And it seems like it wasn't really until you sorted those things out
Mhm.
and opened up to who you were, and
Yeah.
also allowed yourself to be loved and to love yourself and appreciate your worth. And I think that a lot of us don't do that. So that has to be so important. I imagine that this is like one of the biggest things that you have to tackle with clients.
Definitely. Mindset is 100%. And the greatest transformations in my clients are found with the mom who feels that they've been taking care of the rest of the family and not themselves.
Oh, all the
And
time I hear this.
right, um, because it comes to self-love right now. And I have a I'm a quote person, and one of my first quotes I'm thinking of is, if we our weight will take care of itself when we are living our best, healthiest life. Right. And so I help clients really reshift from looking at the scale weight to other indicators of progress, such as, so when I have a client who is nourishing themselves with better foods, working out, it's amazing how other aspects in their life always also transform. They could have better relationships with family members. They could be more productive in their workplace. And that's what transformation is. All the weight loss is just a bonus. But
Yeah.
it comes right from the self, living your best, healthiest life. And the weight really does take care of itself.
Well, I imagine when you're living your best life too, you're less stressed, right?
Yes.
And we know how bad stress can be, and play a role in being, very difficult to lose weight at times because of that elevated cortisol and all those stresses in our life. And also that sometimes makes us want to eat things that we shouldn't eat, maybe, or eat so
Right.
much of, right? So that all those things I think
Sure.
play
All
together.
up here.
Now, now you have a business. You mentioned already your clients. Why don't you tell us about that? What is the name of your business, and what are the services that you're providing for people?
Sure. So my website is steffitness.com. So my name is Stephanie, STEF fitness.com, all one word.
Right.
So it's two F's, Steph Fitness. And I basically personalized in 12-week transform programs, whether it be live in person or online. I've really exploded with my online coaching because, look, you and I are chatting and we really have a powerful impact how we can change just seeing each other, right?
Absolutely.
So I do 12-week programs and I help people simplify their life. So dependent on their goals and their personal body and so forth, I help create for them their personalized nutrition plan, personalized weight training schedule, personalized cardio schedule, and a suggested dietary supplement schedule to again simplify their life. And in these 12 weeks, every week they're email checking in their progress. And based on their email check ins, I will go ahead and reply that week's changes to continue keeping out of a plateau. But I'll tell you why my 12-week transformations are really effective too, Dan, is because a program has to be ever changing. If you and I found a program on the magazine somewhere, we would stall. We would get to a sticking point because things always need to keep changing, right? So I keep changing things for them, and the accountability is power. When people have the right questions coming up on week 3 or week 4. So in these email check-ins, clients have the opportunity to ask questions about fitness, nutrition, or life, and I help answer them. So I look at my 12-week programs as an educational investment. And that's what I like to do because I'm an educator. I teach college. So my goal is to teach people everything they need to know in 12 weeks so they can become self-sufficient and no longer worry about gaining the weight back because now they have a handle on how to do nutrition right and how to make a good fitness program that's doable and not overtraining.
When you have someone that goes through a 12-week program, do you ever have clients that want to come back for another 12 weeks because they're afraid to do this on their own? Or is
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So I do have a lot of clients right now. In fact, I live in San Diego. I have a client online and she's doing her eighth 12-week transformation with me. And it's because I'm always changing the nutrition plan. Number one, because it always has to be fresh. Our immune systems are always changing, our likes or dislikes. So she loves the fresh program. She doesn't have to think all the time. And again, the accountability is power. And I'm like a psychologist, I'm like a counselor to a lot of clients, because so that's why they like me training them, because they know there's a safe place to vent or let things off their chest so they can better themselves inside and out. In fact,
Right.
one of my live personal training sessions encompasses all that. It's not just a kick in the butt workout, but it's like a counseling session as well, to get rid of all that mental junk and sweat it out and just really be empowered physically, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that, when we're um going through these things and trying to like change ourselves, it's nice to have a guideline to follow and know that we do have to change it up. I know that from my own experience. I used to do workout programs where every 6 weeks it was like a complete shift so that there was no plateau. Nutritionally, what do you feel? I mean, everyone's different, right? I mean, when you
Yeah.
talk to a client, it's not like you're just coming up with the same nutrition plan. What are some of the things you're looking for when you decide what nutrition is going to work for one person versus another?
That's a great question, Dan, because we have become oversaturated in the online fitness industry. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people who have done a competition, they now feel qualified to go and train 100 people online. And unfortunately, what happens is there's a lot of cookie cutter programs. But in holistic nutrition, the complete opposite is true. Maybe the keto diet worked for you, Dan, but it will not work for me because of my body type. My body doesn't like high fat. So I really educate people on nutrition on, hey, let's find your best nutrition plan. And overall, the best nutrition plan is a plan you can sustain. If you're doing a plan that you hate and you're dreading, get off the plan right away. You're not going to sustain it. You're not going to reach long-term results. So I see what the person's likes and dislikes are. If someone really wants to live a vegetarian or vegan life, great. I'll support them in that and show them how to get their macros aligned so that they can be in fat burn mode all day long and feeding their muscles enough. So I help them see all those vitamins and minerals that they need to make sure they're getting enough. And honestly, Dan, a lot of people, I end up having to increase their calories and then they start burning more fat because so many people are chronically malnourished with too little calories. It's crazy. There's a saying that in America we're starving in a land of plenty. We have so much food among us, but we're starving in the sense that we're lacking vitamins and minerals. So again, I look at the person and what are the foods they like? What are the foods they dislike or are sensitive or allergic to? Let's create a plan that you can sustain and you love. That's the whole kicker.
Yeah, it's so funny you said that. Like we're lack of nutrition in a world with so much food. I I find it, you know, this is why coaching can be so important because you just said something about eating to burn fat, right? A lot of us are doing this on our own and we're just looking at our macros and some calories and thinking, okay, well, if I keep my calories here, I know I'm going to lose X.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's the most efficient way to do this. It doesn't mean that we're doing it the right way because I guess there are, and I should say, I guess I know this, there are foods that aid in that. Is it matter with meal timing as well? Is it about how often you eat? Or is that just different for every person?
Yeah, now that's $1 million question, Dan. And I just kind of am cautious in answering this
Okay.
because it's it's not one size fits all.
Right.
There are some people that benefit from intermittent fasting, which means only eating in a 6 hour window and not eating in the morning. But it's not good for everybody. There's specific health ailments that they really should not do intermittent fasting. So yeah, there's so many tips on magazines, and we're bombarded with so many things that we as people, it's created a confused and anxiety and stress filled society because all of the conflicting news. So again, I meet people where they're at. I see where their blockages are, what their understandings are, misunderstandings are of nutrition, and help them for their plan. Some people would benefit for eating more frequently, small frequent meals in the day. There's an old myth that in order to lose weight, I need to stop eating carbs after 6 p.m. Well, I'll tell you, with all of my bodybuilding shows, I eat carbs even at night. You don't have to. And this is based on meta-analysis studies, Dan. The low carb way is not superior in burning fat compared to a lot of other ways. It's
Sure.
personalized. Yeah. Not some people need the carbohydrates.
Well, there's also, I mean, you would know this better than I, but I've seen and heard stories of where there are people who eat certain types of carbs later in night because they sleep better. And carbohydrates have a way of putting us in that state of like a deeper sleep, and we know sleep is so important. Is that true, first of all? And do you think of it that way for yourself or for any of your clients ever?
Definitely. And our body is like a car. And if only we could just open it up and look at the transmission and look at all the spark plugs and be like, okay, this one needs this fuel for it to work optimally, right? And so when I get board certified, my goal is to have a lot of these labs so that I can help diagnose or look at a diagnostic in someone's body so that I can really see if for them they need more carbohydrates at a certain time of the day. It is true that carbohydrate timing is helpful for a lot of people, especially with my sport nutritionist clients, athletes. I do sometimes put majority of their carbohydrates with the pre and post workout so they can maximize their fuel and recovery. But again, it depends on the individual.
Right.
But it does affect, carbohydrates can affect the neurotransmitters, which is something I'm really passionate about, with the neurotransmitter balancing in the body.
Right. Yeah, I understand, and it goes back to not, well, one size does not fit all. So it's
Mhm.
really finding what's going to work for each client. I want to go back to you a little bit about your story, because here's what I'm seeing you as: this very energetic mother of two who's gone through all this stuff, and now you do bodybuilding competitions, you're helping clients, fitness is your world, is your life. What is that like for you? How's that relationship with your children, being who you are? You're like super mom, you know?
Yeah, a lot of moms. I give a props to a lot of moms out there multitasking. That's a full-time job in and of itself. And a lot of dads too, all parents are working hard to balance and juggle everything. It's
Sure.
like we're an octopus. We have eight hands and we're juggling everything. So I run a couple of my own businesses, and I teach college, and I train clients, and children. Being healthy allows you to be able to do more in life. That's just that's just what it is, and why I'm so passionate. For me personally, living the bodybuilding lifestyle helps me have the most energy throughout the day,
Right.
because for my body type, my body likes to have fuel every 2 to 3 hours. So that 2 to 3 hour meal time helps me. And being doing weight training helps with my stamina during the day. So how do I do it? Because I have more life stamina, life endurance. And when you're thinking clear, and you can just do more. And when you're passionate about life, when you love life and you know your mission, the world is yours. You get up and you look forward to, okay, whose life can I bless today? Okay, what can I get done today? And, the kids see me working out, and I try to help them choose their own good nutrition habits and so forth. So rather than like telling them, you got to eat this, I help them make their own choices, healthy choices, so that long term they can live a healthy life as well.
Yeah.
So we just do our best.
I mean, I can see that. I think that we're all on our personal journeys in life, and when we can get to a point where we feel like we are on to something, right? We're doing things as good as we can do them now, and we're starting to live our best lives. When you get to that point, I am the type of person that thinks I like to reflect backwards a little bit just to see how far
Yeah.
I've come.
Yeah.
If you can do that for a moment, how
Mm.
are you today versus that overweight girl in fifth grade, over that woman who was, basically malnourished in her 20s, the woman who got into a marriage when she knew that deep inside she was attracted to women, and where you are now? Like, that's a big journey.
Wow.
So how does that make you feel today about who you are and where you've come from?
Yeah. First off, Dan, thank you so much for reminding us to reflect back. Looking back, I'd say I've become a magazine person only people would dream of. But I'm here to tell people you can become that as well. I remember when I was a big overweight kid and my two best girlfriends, there was three of us. I remember my girlfriends teasing me saying, can you imagine Stephanie coming out of a limo one day with her hair all long and her wearing a dress? I mean, if you knew me back then, it would be laughable. And so I keep hearing that in the back of my mind. And I am that today. And I've come so far. I came from broken to rebuilt, revived, and a whole new person, reborn. So yeah, it takes work. Faith without works is dead. And I've taken a lot of steps to work to make my dreams come true. And when I look at helping to transform people, it's like my candle is lit and I'm helping someone else light their own candle, and they will shine because they will affect and influence other people. I have clients who now are personal trainers because their life got lit and they want to share it with others. And I really think that's what we're all here for, is to connect and help others be their best self.
Couldn't have
So
said
yeah,
that
I
any better myself. That you hit the nail on the head there. I think that is what we could all dream for, is to be in
yeah,
that position where we're making a living, doing something we love, being our healthy selves, and
yes,
not, not just lighting a candle with your clients, but being a mother, anyone, being a parent, like being able to live an example for their children.
yeah.
Huge, right? Because there's no bigger lesson that you can show them.
Exactly. So I'm living my dream life right now. And in fact, in my 30s, that's when I really decided to come out. I met my fiance. She same background as me, brought up in a conservative religion, and she has three children. I have two children. We blend. We have five children and two dogs together, and we both are loving our life because we're living true and we're unapologetically living and loving each other. And so it's just so great how much we have already accomplished together in 6 years together.
That's awesome to hear, because that was another question I was just
Yeah.
about to hit you with, was did you find love?
Yeah.
But you absolutely have, and that's wonderful. Listen, Steph, before I let you go, I always do this with our guests. I ask them what we call the big fat five questions. So,
Ooh.
gonna hit you with them right now. They're pretty easy, I
Whew.
think.
Am I ready? Is it like a
The-
rep? Is it like a set? Throw
It's
them to me.
it's
Let's
like a
go.
set, you don't have to go too fast through it, but the first one
Okay.
I always think is the easiest one.
All
Favorite food.
right. Ooh, favorite food. Darn. I've got a sweet tooth all the way. I love cream cheese danishes, Krispy Kreme donuts, and Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And
How
and really
how often
really
do you get
quick.
to eat that?
Oh, you ask Aaron, my significant other, and my kids. I enjoy good food, and you know what? A lot of people think, oh my gosh, how can she be doing that? She's a holistic nutritionist. But here's the thing: here's what holistic nutrition is. It's enjoying some of the comfort foods to make your spirit happy too.
And finding that
So
balance, right?
yes, I'm a sweet tooth all the way.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing to do, like an activity that brings you joy?
Lately, I love throwing ball with my dog Brady. I've got a golden retriever. He came into my life about 4.5 years ago. I'll throw ball with him at the beach, ocean, and throwing ball with Brady makes me happy.
That's awesome. That's San Diego life, huh? Over
Yes,
by the beach.
beautiful.
That's awesome. Uh, what do you do? I think we all need a thing sometimes to get
Mm.
ourselves through the stress or just to keep us motivated. Is there anything that you do to keep yourself motivated or to de-stress that is like your way of getting there?
Ooh, one way I keep myself motivated. And real quick, my three pillars of our health is fitness, nutrition, and stress management. So stress management is key. And one way that keeps me motivated is exactly what you said earlier, is look back at how far I've come.
Mm,
So those reflective times, just sitting, right, looking in my journal. I have this thing, my family knows, whatever I write in my journal will come true. And
mm.
that's always been that since I was a little girl. So how I keep motivated is looking back at all the things I've attracted in my life and look at the people that I've positively influenced. And that keeps me going.
Yeah.
And see my children grow up.
And I think
Yeah.
looking back and having that moment of calm to realize all this positive helps to also de-stress. So I always think those go hand in hand. Um,
Yeah.
what's one piece of advice that you love, either that you've been given or something that you like to tell people that's like a real good, something that they can kind of nugget of information, of advice that they can hold on to?
Whew, there is so much, Dan. Goodness. One piece of nugget. Do not stop dreaming and believing, because your dreams are sacred. There's a reason why you have those dreams. Do not stop believing that you can achieve them or get them or live them. Do not stop believing.
And I think, stories like yours remind us that the adversity that comes has a purpose, right? And that when you get through that adversity, the strength that you gain from it is invaluable. Like you can't
Yeah.
buy that anywhere. So I think your story definitely tells us that. Last question, what are, some of your big goals moving forward?
Big goals. So the reason I am going into my PhD in nutrition, holistic nutrition, is I want to own my own big home on La Jolla Cove, overlooking in the Cove, and being a holistic nutrition doctor long term, because I don't see myself personally training people all the way into my 80s and 90s. But honestly, when I retire, I'll be doing everything I'm doing now, teaching college, training clients, helping people. But that's my long term goals. Seeing my children growing up, graduate from college, and having them come home with their spouses and families. That's life right there.
That definitely is, and like we've already said, you're living your best life right now.
Yeah.
Steph, I want, you mentioned your business. I'd like you to plug it again.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to reach out to you, how are some of the ways they can do that?
Yes, please. The easiest way is to get to my website, steffitness.com, STEF fitness.com. I've got a contact form there. My strategy calls or consults are always free. I love to hear your story, what your goals are, and I always give some free nuggets of wisdom. So reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a consult call with you, or just listen to what your goals are.
All right, stepfitness.com. We definitely will put a little link in our show notes with the podcast. Steph, thank you so much for spending time with us and telling your story and
Oh.
sharing your passion.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity, Dan. And everyone listening, keep it going. Train hard, train smart.